Nobody asked, but I would like to give Zenless Zone Zero version 1.4 story a very, very biased score of 10 out of 10. Oh my god! What is this? Oh my god, what is this fucking... Oh my god, the song drop! Oh, Jesus Christ. Now, that's not what we are here to talk about. What I really wanted to talk about is after I finished it, I was sitting there like, oh my god, this is so good. But then I really thought about it. And I realized, it's my opinion, that some of the things that makes 1.4 story so damn good might be ultimately the reason why the game fails. And if you're curious on what I'm talking about, well, let's talk about it. First, let's talk about the quality and some of the good things that I did like about version 1.4. The cutscenes, oh my god. I'm not even shocked at the quality of the cutscenes because we've seen that quality before from Zenless Zone Zero. But really, I was shocked about how many cutscenes that there were in was essentially a 2.5 hour story. You know, we've had good cutscenes in other games. If we're talking about Hoyoverse games, they've had good cutscenes, emotional ones, after 4.5, 5 hours of dialogue. But I'm exaggerating. Am I? Am I exaggerating? 2.5 hour in this story for Zenless Zone Zero version 1.4, I think there were like 4 or 5 actual cutscenes, not in-game rendering cutscenes, but you know what I mean? Like actual cutscenes. That was just mind-blowing, especially at the end. Spoiler alert, when Miyabi shows up and she goes ping, and then like fing, and then the hollow rips open kinda. Oh my god. And then the music kicks in. The cutscenes were obviously amazing. Now, let's talk about execution. The story, now, mind you, are not like groundbreaking story. They're not. I don't want to say done often, but it's you know, like Avengers did something similar where at the end, you know, a bunch of Avengers come in, you know, and then in the end of this story, all the faction characters came in, and it was really cool. But my point is, the story is not like groundbreaking, but the reason why it felt so good, even though it could be seen as somewhat cliche sometimes, it was executed so well. Dude, I was like playing, I wasn't just playing a video game. It felt like the execution with everything included was so well done. I'm like drooling, what the fuck? Because it was so well done. I felt like I was in a movie, but not only was I in a movie, I was playing a movie, if that makes sense. It was wild. It was crazy. Next, I want to talk about the pacing. Now, it might be because I was being biased when I played because I really enjoyed this game to begin with, and because I was so immersed in it that I felt like I didn't have any pacing issues. There was not like a room for like doing absolutely nothing. Everything felt like they had a reason. Every dialogue felt like, you know, okay, well, let's go from point A to point B, and to do that, we have to do this. Like, there was no fuss about it or fluff about it. It was just like, let's go, let's get it done. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, I see. That's what the story is. Boom, boom, boom. Cutscene. Holy crap. And it was just like, go, 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 instead of like kind of lazing around. Personally, as a streamer who can't really play this game and only this game, and because I have to do a lot of other things as well, it felt really good. But maybe even just as a player who have a hard time reading, because my reading comprehension is actually not that great. I can't read for a very long time. It still felt really good that I was being rewarded for the amount of energy that I put into it. You know, obviously, people who enjoy light novels and stuff might be a different case, but, you know, for me, it was quite enjoyable. Now, let's talk about some of the reasons why I think all these things that I mentioned might be the reason why Zenless Zone Zero would not do so well in the future. I know it sounds crazy and ridiculous to say, but let's say hypothetically people come in to play the game because of, you know, hearing that 1.4 is so good, and it is. They changed so many new things, or they added a lot of quality of life to it. Not only that, the story is great, it's gotten better. And before you watch this video, you probably heard people talking about how good it was and like how certain people came back because it was just that good. I'm glad that they're back. As a person who really enjoys this game, I am kind of worried that they might have a false expectation. What I mean by that is, if you don't know, Zenless Zone Zero's story kind of operates on a season, basically an arc, right? This is pretty common in anime or just anything in general. There's seasons/arcs, right? 1.4 story is the climax, the peak, and the final ending of the first season. 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3 were all essentially pieces that were building up to this. I'm sure you know what I'm going to say. People are going to come in and play, which I really am happy for that they're playing because I love this game. But because the peak of 1.4 is now set such a high standard, the next patch is seemingly going to be a start of another season, if not a filler. And they're going to be massively disappointed if Zenless Zone Zero does not keep this quality even to like a beginning point of a new story. That's one of the biggest worries that I have, because when Zenless Zone Zero first came out, people kind of like shunned the game. And now it's getting better and better and better. And then I'm worried that like 1.4 does a big thing and then 1.5 happens and everyone's like, oh, that was a fluke. 1.5 story is not even that great. I don't necessarily mind them not playing it. It's more like, it's bad as I expected. You know what I mean? It will be really sad for me, particularly because I really like this game. But that's one of the worries that I did have. Can Zenless Zone Zero team keep going at this quality? I hope so. But if they don't, oh my god, they set such a high foundation standard. So that's kind of worrisome. The second thing that I'm very actually worried about is I told you that the pacing was really good. And it is, at least in my personal opinion. But the reason why the pacing is so good is, again, because the story is so compact in the 2.5 hours with a bunch of cutscenes and going from A to B like really fast. I realize this causes a problem because for someone like me who enjoys short, sweet things nowadays more so than long, lengthy things of like storytelling, if you keep this compact, what often ends up happening, maybe not omit, but they just don't have time or real estate to add some information to the story or lore that might be exciting for certain players. Before going into 1.4 story, I had a weird feeling of why Bringer is acting so evil, because Bringer's lore is that he used to be someone that was likable and that he even saved Zhu Yuan in the past, but now he's doing these evil things. So I'm like, what happened? What was the in-between? Is there a reason that he's being evil? You know, is there like getting manipulated? Is it a blackmail? Is it trying to protect something in the story? But really what happened throughout this chapter was there were a lot of other things that were going on in this 2.5 hours that the Bringer's backstory was kind of never really... They explained some stuff, like they didn't explicitly come out and like explain everything about Bringer, but they did give us some context as to what Bringer's doing, but they didn't really give us the reasons, kinda. Maybe I'm wrong, but this wasn't just Bringer. If you kind of sit there and think about it, there are some things that felt, how do I say, not rushed, but for certain groups of people who really enjoy the intricate details and lengthy story, they might look at this and be like, it's lazy story writing, if anything, and that some plot devices were planted, but they were essentially thrown away to kind of help the pacing and make things the story compact and short. And I do agree to a certain point that might have been what happened with Bringer in version 1.4. Now, there is a world of possibility where Bringer's backstory was not completely like explained to minute details because the writers are purposely hiding information. You know, the creator refined me, wherever, all the cult stuff that was happening in the story. I could let the Bringer backstory not being completely like elaborated upon slide because I enjoyed and I was so entertained by everything in the story in this patch. But I don't think everybody would agree because I know there are definitely people who enjoy the lengthy story of explaining everything. I don't know if they could try to improve on this because the more they try to improve on this, maybe the story starts getting longer and longer and longer. Maybe they can do it in other ways, like add more additional backstory, like maybe information they can get throughout the game elsewhere apart from the main story. That would be nice. Now, I may be wrong about these things, but I would love to see what happens in the future, and I'm cautiously excited and worried at the same time. If you disagree, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. I would love to read them. And yeah, that's all the things that I want to talk about in this video. I hope you have a good day. Thank you for watching.